Gambia's Interior Minister informs lawmakers of challenges in fighting crimes in the country. Chinese President Xi Jinping vowed to support Sudan's political transition despite growing local discontent. And a young Gambian entrepreneur has developed an innovative business concept where plastic materials can be turned into diesel, petrol, and gas. This and more coming your way on The World Today. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in details. And we begin with because Gambia's Minister of Interior, Yahya Jammeh, on Thursday acknowledged that his ministry is facing challenges in the fight against crime in the country. Of course, the admittance came after the minister was asked in Parliament to explain his ministry's plans to curb the rising crime rate in the country. Moses Mendy has more details of that in this report.
Crime has reached an alarming rate in the Gambia over the last few months, causing great concern among the Gambian populace. Several reported crimes of murder, swindling, burglaries, robberies, and many others have left many people feeling unsafe even in the confines of their homes. Many have accused the president and the security authorities of being too relaxed in their effort to keep the country safe. Interior Minister Yahya Jammeh was asked by the NAM for Nyani what his ministry's plans were to address the issue.
Honorable Speaker, despite all the numerous challenges in the fight against crime, the police have intensified vigorous patrols in all regions across the country to reduce the crime rate to an acceptable level. In addition, the police command have also begun establishing PIU bases in certain strategic areas across the country, all geared towards curbing crimes in the country.
The thinking of the police is that community policing and sensitization on crime prevention could be a solution to the problem.
Honorable Speaker, the ministry has ensured that the police engage the youth through community policing, community sensitization in ensuring crime prevention. This entails community engagement policing strategy, targeting schools and communities, as the security alone cannot fight crime, but need the support of the communities. At regional level, the security has been engaging the community on the practice of community policing in a bid to curb the crime rate in this country.
The minister's comments are consistent with the police PRO Bintanjai's comment when she earlier decried a lack of resources to enable the police to carry out its responsibilities in the face of increasing crime rate in the country. When quizzed whether his ministry will consider providing adequate and modern equipment to the Gambia police force to complement their efforts in combating crime, Mr. Sonko said the ministry is experiencing financial shortfalls and as such wouldn't be able to purchase modern equipment. However, he had some good news to share.
As I speak, the Ministry of Interior has received more than 5 proposals from technology companies who have the capacity to provide CCTV installation along major highways and crime-prone zones across the country to help monitor crime and traffic offenses from a distance.
The lack of effective crime prevention systems due to the challenges cited by the Interior Minister has led to a loss of confidence in the police force. And in some instances, people are rather more inclined to take the law into their own hands in settling matters. Recently, an angry mob stormed and ransacked the Bakau police station demanding mob justice on an accused for the alleged gruesome killing of a taxi driver from Bakau. For Eyeafrica News, I am Moses Mendy.
Now, moving on, the government of the Gambia, through its spokesperson, Ibrahim Sankari, has responded to claims of wanton shootings and killings of Fonyi residents and other gross human rights violations committed by Senegalese forces stationed in the region. Now, the claims were made by the 5 sitting NAMs from Fonyi, contained in a petition which demands, among other things, that the government investigates all deaths blamed on Senegalese troops stationed in their region and to completely withdraw those troops and substitute them with Gambian soldiers. Yahya Jammeh has more of that in this report.
The NAMs also demanded that the government engage Senegal in a bid to stop the usage of drones, which has led to several killings. The Fonyi NAMs want the government to adequately and promptly compensate the victims' families. But a week after the petition was sent to government, its spokesperson Ibrahim Sankari has reacted by issuing a press release in which he described the claim in the petition by the 5 Fonyi NAMs as, in his words, serious unfounded allegations. The Fonyi National Assembly members during their press conference had raised their concern about the frequent killings of natives of Fonyi and the government's carefree attitude towards these killings, as no investigations were conducted. The NAMs listed a number of demands that they want the government to tackle, amongst which is the withdrawal of Senegalese troops from Fonyi and replacing them with troops from the Gambian Armed Forces. Compensation for the families of those killed by Senegalese soldiers was also demanded, as well as thorough investigations into the circumstances of their deaths. The NAMs also criticized what they call the unfair termination and dismissal of Fonyi citizens from key civil and public service positions, as well as the targeting of people from Fonyi by various commissions of inquiry. These claims were denied by the Gambia government in a press release through its spokesperson, who said that the security and territorial integrity of the country is paramount and that the stationing of soldiers in Fonyi is because of the porous nature of that southern borderline. The presence of economic forces in the entirety of the country, the release goes on, is genuine in the maintenance of peace and security in the country. The press release also states that the Gambia government takes allegations of loss of all human life very seriously and is committed to carrying out all necessary investigations to ascertain what actually transpired. With regards to the shooting of one Yankuba Baji, the press release states that investigations have confirmed he actually died across the border in Casamas region of Senegal, that he was a non-Gambian registered refugee with UNHRC and had resided at Jufanga village. The government said it has conducted investigations that 3 deaths happened in Fonyi on Saturday. The victims are Demba Koli, age 23, Alaji Koli, age 23, and Ibrahim Koli, age 20. The government, however, says that all the deceased were non-Gambians but had registered with the UNHRC Banjul office as refugees in the country. In the case of a 4th victim, the government said he is currently being hospitalized at a health facility. The Barrow government determined that all 3 men died in the Senegalese region of Casamas and not within Gambian territory, as it been erroneously alleged. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
Now, elsewhere in the continent, despite the growing political tensions in Sudan, Chinese President Xi Jinping has reiterated his country's support to the North African nation's political transition. Xi made these remarks while meeting with the chair of Sudan's Sovereignty Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Sudan has been engulfed in political turmoil since the military took over power last October, leaving several groups denouncing their move. Here's more details of that in this report.
Chinese President Xi Jinping says China supports all parties in Sudan to continue to push for steady political transition through dialogue. He made the remarks on Thursday while meeting with the chairman of Sudan's Sovereign Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Xi said China opposes interference by external forces in Sudan's internal affairs and will continue to speed up for Sudan on the international stage. President Xi Jinping stressed that China will keep supporting Sudan's development and push for cooperation in the energy, agricultural, and mineral fields. He said China is willing to enhance cooperation and coordination with Sudan to safeguard the common interest of developing nations and international justice. Al-Burhan congratulated President Xi Jinping on his election as General Secretary of the 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. He thanked President Xi Jinping and the Chinese people for China's long-term support in safeguarding Sudan's national safety and stability. Al-Burhan said Sudan supports China in safeguarding its core interests and supports all of the important initiatives that China has proposed.
Chinese President Xi Jinping reiterating his country's support to Sudan's transition despite local grievances against the military leadership in the North African country. Now let's do some business news and coming back home because a young Gambian entrepreneur by the name of Yahya Jammeh has developed a revolutionary business concept where plastic materials are converted into diesel, petrol, and gas. His company, Dry Energy, intends, among other things, to reduce the volume of plastic waste material deposed in our communities and thus help in the building of a clean and environment-friendly society. Dry Energy is said to employ over 100,000 people when the structure is fully set by 2023. Yahya Jammeh again with the details in this report.
In the pyrolysis process, waste plastics are converted into alternative energy as fuel for diesel engines. Waste plastic fuel has a wide range of chemical characteristics that vary depending on the grade of plastics utilized and the pyrolysis technique employed. This young Gambian entrepreneur, Yahya Jammeh, is Chief Executive Officer of his company, Dry Energy and General Growth Properties. He wants to bring this reality to the Gambia, which he said will create employment and make life easier for all.
Dry Energy is a new initiative. We are about to change plastic waste into energy in the Gambia. That is to change the plastic waste, the waste bottles, the waste bowls into diesel, petrol, kerosene, and gas.
Research has shown that plastic shopping bags, an abundant source of litter on land and at sea, can be converted into diesel, natural gas, and other useful petroleum products. Yahya Jammeh explains how this is done.
And through my research, then I get to have the initiative that we Gambian, it's high time for us to take ownership for our own country. So having this in mind, then I did the practical. Then I see things, a positive result from it, where I even use in my own car. We have a machine whereby we heat the waste in the absence of oxygen. Then we have a condenser and receiver tanks that will give a result of these products I am telling you.
The CEO of Dry Energy is hereby urging Gambians not to throw away plastic waste materials anymore, as his company is ready to buy from them.
The waste plastic, we want the Gambian people not to throw it anymore because we're going to buy it from them. We want to buy per kilo $5. If you have your plastics, anything plastic, do not throw it away. We wanted to employ more than 10,000 people in the Gambia at one time. It's up to you. You can be in Farafenye, in Soma, in Basse, then you have your plastic waste. Do it in one side, just call our number, then we reach out to you, from there we buy from you. With that, you have a living. Because it has so many advantages for our country. Because we have seen plastic has given so many challenges to our government or to our nation. We have no solution to it.
Mr. Jammeh, who holds a higher diploma in management studies and junior achievement entrepreneur business in Ghana, said the business in its infancy, but that it will be in full operation by January 2023. He is calling on both the Gambian people and government to work with Dry Energy to make sure that the unemployment rate is reduced and plastic pollution is addressed in the Gambia. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
Well, quite a very inspiring and wonderful business concept there developed by Lamin Jammeh. We only hope the concept of the business would become a reality here in the Gambia and beyond. Well, with that report there by Maria Macham, we now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Africa Global is the first and biggest private real estate developer in the Gambia with a presence in 7 other African countries. We are launching the development of the first smart and most modern office and retail towers in the Gambia called TAF Twins, located in the heart of the Canifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive from Banjul. TAF Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 meters square to over 1,000 meters square, 2 elevators, central air conditioning, 24-hour electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant, and coffee shops. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333.
Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Let's now look at the rest of the stories. Now, the Honorable Minister for Petroleum and Energy, Abdullah Job, has told the National Assembly that 39 villages in Same will benefit from the Phase 1 electric extension in that constituency. Now, the government, through the President, Adama Barrow, had promised the people of Same electricity by the year 2023. Mahouji Sise tells us more of that in this report.
Villages such as Karantaba, Tabokoto, Karantaba Tendala, Karantaba Wolof, Dobo, Changai, Tukulor, Wolof, Sami Tenda, Jalo Koto, among other villages, are part of the Gambia Electricity Restoration and Modernization Project Backbone Phase 1. According to Minister Job, 39 communities in the Same constituency will benefit. He said his ministry is also having Phase 2 under the JAM project, noting that they have directed NAWEC to provide a comprehensive list identifying all the communities in each constituency in the country and report back which ones are not captured in the ongoing electrification project, so that the ministry can identify the gap and any left out community to be included in the future projects.
Honorable Speaker, under the Gambia Electricity Restoration and Modernization Project, Backbone Phase 1, 39 communities in the Sami constituency will benefit, and they include Dobo, Changai, Tukulor, Changai Wolof, Sinchu Baya, Sami Pak Koki, Sinchu Dura, Sami Tenda, Kibiri, Tangkong, Jalo Koto, Jaleng Seni, Jaleng Jaube, Sami Surua Kunda, Fiti Fula, Fiti Wolof, and Sami.
The Honorable Member of Wuli East, Suwaibu Ture, asked Minister Job to update the August Assembly on the rural electrification project in the Upper River region. The northern part in particular, Minister Job informed the National Assembly that the JAM project will electrify 165 communities in the URR, 62 in URR North, and 103 are in the URR South, noting that the contract was signed in May 2002.
Gambia Electricity Restoration and Modernization Project, called the JAM Backbone Phase 2, will electrify 165 communities in the URR, 62 in the URR North, and 103 communities are in the URR South. The construction works was signed in May 2022, and the contract became effective on the 11th of October 2022, following receipt by the contractor of the advance payment. So the contractor has mobilized as of last month, and he's doing the detailed engineering and survey works, as well as procurement activities. And we are hopeful that in the towards the second quarter of next year, actual implementation or installation works will commence on the ground.
The Honorable Minister for Petroleum was asked by Honorable Almami Jiba to explain to the August Assembly what causes the Gam petroleum oil spillage at the Mandina Ring and what steps were taken to mitigate the impact on the environment as well as to prevent its reoccurrence.
The heavy fuel oil escaped from the hole, and when it was discovered, the Gam Petroleum aborted the discharge and started the repair of the pipeline. But obviously, because there was a hole, certain HFO escaped and started flowing because the water is heavier than the HFO, it started flowing. But the extent of the spillage, so-called, was not as massive as it was reported. But there was, escape of heavy fuel.
The Gambia is still struggling to provide adequate electricity to the few towns and villages that are on the national grid. The quest to electrify the entire country is seen as a noble and ambitious task undertaken by government. But given the all too frequent blackouts experienced lately, one cannot but harbor some doubts as to the consistency of power supply to these newly connected communities. Mafuji Cisse, Eyeafrica News.
And let's stay with electricity matters, though, but this time in the East African continent. Of course, or should I say in the eastern part of the African continent, because Ugandan citizens and business owners have expressed concern over the persistent increases in electricity bills in the East African country. Now, the rise in electricity costs has not only disrupted business activities, but makes it harder for operators to continue their normal operations. However, the country's energy supply company outlined several factors, including the increased international oil price for the latest hike in the electricity tariff. Here's more details of that in this report.
The spark that is keeping things together for Salongo Gadimu. He needs electricity every day for his kind of work. And while he welds away, he is keen on keeping his electricity use to the bare minimum.
I endeavor to complete my work with the amount of electricity units I load. Sometimes I cannot, because the units get done quickly.
But there could be troubled times ahead for Salongo as his electricity bill is set to rise. The country's electricity regulator has hiked the price of electricity for the period of October to December 2022. The increment in tariffs was across all consumer categories, rising by 8% for medium industrial and commercial consumers. The welders say it is not only the power tariffs that affect their work, but also the irregular power supply. It is making it hard for them to stay in business. The new tariffs mean households will also now have to pay at least 9% more for the final quarter of the year. The country's electricity regulator says numerous economic factors like international prices of fuel, the exchange rate of the shilling against the US dollar have caused the hike.
First that has happened in 6 years was the recent one, which really was precipitated by the running away of the macroeconomic indicators. The inputs to the tariff, specifically the tariff recovers the revenue that is required to be able to generate, to transmit, to distribute, and to deliver the electrical signal to where it is utilized.
For manufacturers, the increase has come at a difficult time.
Unfortunately, because of the variables that determine electricity tariff on a quarterly basis, being inflation, forex rates, when they played out the way they did, we have seen an increase. We are hoping against hope that actually the economy can correct itself, especially as we move into 2023.
According to the Electricity Regulatory Authority, Uganda's installed electricity capacity is 1,346 megawatts, with a demand at 800 megawatts. With the country's largest hydro project, the 600 megawatts Karuma hydropower dam, slated to come fully online by June 2023, many consumers like Salongo could soon have a little more power at their disposal and possibly less to pay.
This is Eyeafrica TV, and you have been watching the World Today News Bulletin. And from the reporter in Uganda, we now eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and bye for now.